They train in silence. They bleed where no one can see. And yet, the moment they fall, the world laughs. That's the brutal truth of skating. It's not glamorous. It's not always cool. Behind every perfect trick on your feed, there's a kid with bruised shins, fractured wrists, and nights spent wondering if chasing this dream is worth it. Why does it really suck to be a skater? Because it's one of the hardest, most thankless paths an athlete can choose. If you're part of skate culture, you already know. This isn't basketball, where arenas roar with every dunk. This isn't soccer, where even the bench players get a fan page. No, skating is raw. Skating is lonely. Skating is pain disguised as freedom. And still, it's addictive. Let's talk about the grind. Not the kind where you slide your trucks across a rail, but the kind that eats at your soul. Ours on cracked pavement, trying the same trick 50 times, knowing only one attempt will land. That's the reality. And when it doesn't, the footage gets cut. The falls, they pile up like secrets nobody wants to talk about. Skating chews you up physically. Ankles are shredded from rolled landings. Knees blown out before most skaters even hit 25. Wrists constantly taped. Shoulders perpetually aching. And concussions. Don't even get started. There's no helmet culture on the streets. No team doctor waiting with ice. You're your own trainer, your own medic, your own cheerleader. The scars are invisible until one day your body tells you can't keep going. But physical pain, that's just surface level. The real weight is mental. Picture this, you're out there, in some empty parking lot, setting up your phone to record. You land a trick once, you're stoked. You post it, and within hours, the comments roll in. Meh, I've seen better, or worse, fake. In 2025, virality is the currency. If you don't go viral, it feels like you don't exist. That pressure of performing not just for yourself, but for the algorithm is crushing. People think skating is rebellious freedom, but for so many skaters, it's actually a prison of perfection. And let's not ignore the economics. Being a skater does it. Pay sponsors. They're rare, and they drop you the second your engagement dips. Free boards and hoodies don't pay rent. You're still stuck juggling a part-time job, school, or hustling side gigs just to buy a fresh deck after you've snapped the last one. The financial stress, it's real. And it's one of the biggest reasons it sucks to be a skater. Now, think about this. Mainstream sports are beginning to embrace AI in training, data analytics, wearables, mental health apps. But skaters, they're still learning tricks from grainy YouTube tutorials or by watching pros on Instagram. Frame by frame, there's no billion-dollar infrastructure for skaters, no player unions, no safety nets. You're on your own island, with only determination keeping you afloat. And the mental toll only grows heavier. Injuries sideline you for weeks, maybe months. You watch your crew progress, while you sit out scrolling your feed, drowning in jealousy and frustration. Burnout creeps in. The fear of losing your edge becomes louder than a desire to skate. This is what the sports burnout revolution is finally exposing, that athletes, whether pro or underground, aren't machines. Skaters especially are vulnerable because they're not surrounded by structured systems. They're fighting burnout in silence. But here's the rawest truth: society doesn't really respect skaters. Sure, they'll celebrate a viral Tony Hawk clip or repost a street ollie that breaks physics. But your local skater grinding curbs outside the gas station? They're still treated like a nuisance. Security guards chase them, cops ticket them, bystanders roll their eyes. Skaters live in the contradiction of being idolized online and demonized in real life. And that more than anything gets inside your head. How do you devote your life to something that makes the world treat you like an outsider? How do you push through when your parents say, "When are you going to grow up?" How do you explain the art, the discipline, the obsession when people only see reckless kids with boards? This is why it sucks to be a skater, not because the tricks are hard, not because the pavement is unforgiving, but because the world doesn't understand the cost of this life. Skaters are gladiators without arenas, warriors without medals. They suffer in the shadows. And yet, ironically, that suffering is what makes skating so magnetic. Still, the paradox remains. Skating gives freedom, but it also chains you. Skaters live in constant tension between wanting to escape the pressure and being unable to let go. Because when you finally land that trick, when the trucks lock onto the rail, when the board snaps perfectly beneath your feet, when you roll away clean, it's transcendence. It's the high that keeps you addicted, even if everything else about it sucks. But addiction has a price. Let's zoom in on mental health, because in 2025, the mental health revolution in pro sports is finally mainstream. Stars in basketball, tennis, gymnastics, they're speaking out. They're saying enough to toxic expectations. But in skating, silence. Skaters rarely talk about depression, anxiety, or panic attacks. They mask it with grins, with edits, with clips that make life look effortless. Behind the screen, though, the anxiety is heavy. The identity crisis is real. If you're not skating, who even are you? And then there's the social media trap. In today's world, skaters aren't just athletes, they're content creators. You're judged not only by your skill, but by how cinematic your clips are, how sharp your edits look, how well you can keep up with trends. You're competing against creators, not just skaters. That's exhausting. And it pushes so many skaters into a cycle of constant performance, constant hustle, constant stress. It's no wonder so many young skaters burn out before they even hit adulthood. The pressure is heavier now than it's ever been. Back in the early days, skating was underground. It was DIY. It was freedom. Today, it's an economy, it's clicks, it's an algorithm. And when you don't feed the algorithm, you disappear. And still, despite all the skaters lace up, step on the board and keep rolling. Why? Because in the chaos, there's still beauty. Skating gives you a tribe, a language, a sense of belonging. It's not always respected, not always rewarded, but it's real. And maybe that's why it sucks so much, because the love for it is so deep. It hurts. And then there's the social media pressure. Every bail, every slam, every wipeout, it's not just between you and the concrete anymore. It's instantly online. Clipped, slowed down, memmed, and shared. In the past, you could fail privately. You could screw up in front of a handful of friends and laugh it off. Now, your failures can go viral. Millions of strangers laughing at you, judging you, tearing you down. And the worst part, they don't even skate. They don't know the grind. They don't know the pain. But they'll happily type out a comment that cuts deeper than the asphalt. Imagine being 16 years old, a prodigy, blowing up on TikTok for landing tricks that seasoned veterans respect. One bad fall, and suddenly, your name trends for all the wrong reasons. The internet doesn't care about your journey. They care about entertainment, and your pain, that's just content. And that's where the burnout hits hard. Skaters are now balancing not just training and competition, but content creation. If you're not filming, posting, and feeding the algorithm, you're invisible. The algorithm doesn't reward consistency. It demands obsession, and obsession destroys balance. Skaters find themselves in a loop. Skate for content, not for love. Skate for clicks, not for growth. Skate for numbers, not for soul. And when the love fades, so does the magic. But here's the irony. For all the suffering, for all the pressure, for all the bruises, skating still pulls them back. Why? Because it's not just a sport. It's an identity, a language, a rebellion. To be a skater is to live in contradiction. You hate it, but you need it. It breaks you, but it saves you. It chews you up, but it also gives you meaning. Ask any pro, and they'll tell you. The pain is inseparable from the joy. The grind is part of the art. Every scar tells a story. Every slam is a batch. Skaters laugh at pain because it's proof that they're alive. Proof that they tried something impossible. Proof that they didn't quit. And in a world full of quitters, that matters. Still, the mental side remains brutal. Skaters aren't just fighting gravity. They're fighting themselves. Anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome, it's all baked into the culture now. And with sports psychology becoming mainstream, the conversation is shifting. Pro teams are hiring mental coaches. Even Olympic programs are pushing therapy and wellness. But for skaters, it's complicated. The DIY, counterculture roots of skating don't exactly mix with sitting in a therapist office. It feels like betrayal, like you're soft, but the truth, skaters need help more than most. They're dreamers carrying impossible weights in a world that doesn't cushion falls. And here's the kicker, money doesn't even solve it, because money in skating is unstable. Unlike mainstream athletes with guaranteed contracts, skaters depend on sponsors, video parts, and competitions. One injury, one bad season, one sponsor pulling out, and your career crumbles. Imagine dedicating 15 years of your life to mastering something, only for it to vanish in a single misstep. The financial insecurity eats at you, and so you push harder, risk bigger, chase wilder tricks not out of love, but out of survival. It's not sustainable. It never was. But that's the paradox of skating. It demands sacrifice, and only the most broken, stubborn souls survive it. You don't just get to be a skater. You have to bleed for it. You have to break bones for it. You have to give up weekends, jobs, sometimes relationships, because skating will always come first. Always. And yet, for every it sucks, there's a moment that makes it worth it. Landing a trick you've tried for months. Hearing the board snap against concrete in perfect rhythm. Cruising through the city at night, wheels humming, wind on your face, feeling invincible. Those are the highs that keep them hooked. The fleeting, electric moments of pure freedom that erase every slam, every bruise, every viral fail. For that brief second, you're untouchable. So, why does it really suck to be a skater? Because you're fighting the world and yourself every single day. Because no one outside the culture understands the grind. Because social media can build you up and just as quickly tear you apart. Because your body is the currency and it's constantly being spent. Because love for the board comes with heartbreak attached. But maybe that's also why it's beautiful. Because in a world obsessed with shortcuts, skaters still choose the long, painful road. They still fall, get up, and fall again. They still fight gravity with nothing but wood, wheels, and willpower. They still live for the impossible. And maybe that's why, deep down, every skater knows the truth. It doesn't matter if it sucks. It matters that it's real. So, the next time you see a skater limping off after a hard slam, don't just see the failure. See the fight, the resilience, the soul. Because no matter how much it sucks, they'll always be back for more. If you've ever felt the rush of chasing something that breaks you down, but makes you feel alive, smash that like button and tell me what's your impossible trick. The one dream you refuse to quit on. Drop it in the comments. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. Because tomorrow, we're diving into another story from the edge of sports. One that'll make you question everything you thought you knew.